Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And joining us now is the former acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf. Chad, this is Rita Cosby. So great to have you on here with me and John Tony Carbonetti and Judge Weinberg. Chad, first off, let's get right to the big news of the day, this shakeup at the Department of Homeland Security. Your reaction?
Yeah, it's good to be on with you guys. Look, obviously President Trump decided that they needed a change in direction and a change of leadership. I think we saw this coming when he put Tom Homan in charge in Minneapolis, a little over a month ago. And then there's just been a series of unfortunate incidents that have overshadowed the great success and progress that the Trump administration has made when it comes to securing the border and removing dangerous people from the country. And I think this is an issue that the president should be winning on by large numbers. And I think I think they were looking at all of this and decided to make a change.
What do you know about Markwayne Mullin? I've interviewed Markwayne, to talk about him in terms of his qualities. He's a real fighter, and you definitely need a real fighter right now, given all the dynamics with Homeland Security.
Yeah, I've interacted with the senator on a number of occasions, particularly when he was in the House, and since he's been in the Senate. Look, I think he understands. First of all, he's a patriot, loves America. I think he understands the threats facing the homeland, given his time on the Armed Services Committee, and he's been great on border security and immigration enforcement. So, look, I think he'll learn the department very quickly, and by all accounts, I think he's going to be a great secretary.
How shocked are you that we are still in this moment, Chad Wolf, the former acting Secretary of Homeland Security, that just a few minutes ago, John was just saying how the Democrats wouldn't, have funding for DHS. We're in the middle of everything going on with Iran. As you know all too well, we've got so many threats to the homeland. Now we have a new secretary coming in. And the Democrats won't even do funding for the Department of Homeland Security?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that the United States can essentially be at war with a country like Iran and not have the department fully funded. We wouldn't dream of not funding the Department of War, and we shouldn't do it with the Department of Homeland Security, because the threats facing the homeland, while they're not as significant as being in harm's way in Iran doing the operations right now, there are real threats, and we need all employees of the department fully focused on their mission and not wondering about where their next paycheck is going to come from, which will eventually be the case the longer this draws on.
Yeah, no doubt. I can't believe that they're playing politics with it. Judge Weinberg.
It's good to talk to you, Chad. The problem to me is Biden let in millions of people, unvetted. We don't know who they are. They were let loose in our country. Some of them have gang affiliations, cartel affiliations, even Chinese and Iranian terrorist affiliations. And we're not going to fund and protect this country. What is it going to take for the Democrats to come to their senses? Another terrorist attack?
Well, that's a good question. What's it going to take for them to come to their senses? The question is, do they have senses? It's a great question. I mean, we saw what 4 years of Joe Biden did to the country, and specifically to the border. 18,000 known or suspected terrorists approached that border and came over that border during 4 years of Joe Biden. And I can guarantee you a lot of them are still here in the country, and that includes Iranians and others. And I think that's the major concern is it's very, very difficult to track these individuals, to understand who they are and vet them after the fact. You have to do it beforehand, and you have to be able to prevent them from coming into the country to begin with, because then it's just so difficult otherwise. And that's where, unfortunately, the Trump administration finds itself, and it's doing great work to try to identify and keep everyday Americans safe. But as I said at the time, the consequences of the 4 years of President Biden and what he did, allowing individuals to come into the country either illegally or paroling them in, that the country would be impacted for years and years to come. And unfortunately, we're likely to experience that this year.
Chad Wolf, too, in the midst of all this, with this new shakeup that's clearly happened at the Department of Homeland Security with Kristi Noem and Markwayne Mullin, I was watching some of the Democrats' reaction today, and a number of them came out. It just happened recently, as we know, and they were like, "Oh, that's good, but now we need big changes still at Department of Homeland Security. Like one scalp we got." I heard one of them say that, and now we also have to do. They still are fighting for changes in Department of Homeland Security, which is this holdup. Demasking the ICE agents. Saying that they restricting where they can go and can't go. I mean, it's really, to me, shocking at a time, first of all, when they're trying to do their jobs, and two, at the time where we're at red alert levels, as you know all too well, Chad.
That's right. I mean, a lot of those, quote, reforms that they put forward and they're still advocating for are not serious reforms. These are things that would neuter ICE agents and officers from doing their job. And I think in large part, that's what the Democrats want to see. They don't like immigration enforcement. They never have. They didn't under President Obama or Biden. And they're trying to get a number of things written into law so that when you have another Republican president, that they can't do anything about it because then it's law. So I think we're at a real impasse here because President Trump knows this. He understands this, and he understands that you got to give the tools to those law enforcement officers to remove dangerous people. And so, the Democrats are going to have to change their tune here if they want to see any of their requests entertained by the administration.
Tony Carbonetti?
Chad, I think what you just said is brilliant. The dangerous people. What the senator should do his first day in Homeland is go to each governor and say, I'm looking to remove the dangerous people from your state, the dangerous illegal immigrants. Okay, those are the ones I want to.
Common sense thing to do.
We don't want to go to Home Depot and
80% of all Americans. 80%.
But call the Democratic governors out. Are you telling me, Newsom, you don't want me? And here's the list of felons that are in your state that are illegal. You don't want them out?
Tony, I actually think they should go even further. I think they should put it out publicly and say,
here's the list.
Right,
Tony, you're the youngest guy here. I think we
should
should run you for office.
God forbid. No, but do what Trump did at the State of the Union. Call them out. You don't want me to throw these people out? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and make it public, too. Chad, what do you think?
Yeah, here's the game that they're playing, right? Because what Democrats will say is that the Trump administration is only removing, or the people of the population that they are removing, only 14% are violent criminals. And they do this on purpose because violent criminals, it's a term of art. It's defined in statute who is violent and who is not. Well, I can tell you someone that's a human trafficker is not classified as a violent offender.
Really?
Right? And so what the Trump administration has said is, look, we're going to remove everyone that's a national security and public safety threat. And so someone that has 6 DUIs is likely going to have another DUI and could kill someone. That is a public safety threat, but is not classified as a violent offender. And so it's really important that the Democrats know that they're playing with semantics here, and they cook the numbers so that it has a negative impact or a negative view of what the Trump administration is doing. So the Trump team needs to get out there more and say public safety threats, national security threats. Here's who that includes. And here are the numbers that we're removing that fit in those categories.
I want to go back to what you just said.
Selling a woman into prostitution is not violent?
Yeah, Chad, is that correct? That human trafficking is not considered? Explain that again. Our jaws dropped.
Yeah, so there's a number of crimes that are I mean, obviously they're felonies. But they're not considered quote unquote violent crimes. I mean, obviously murder,
ridiculous.
And a few others are, but there's a whole host of other crimes that are bad, are public safety threats that you don't want anywhere around your children or people that you love or in your community, but aren't classified using FBI statistics as violent crimes. And that's where they get this 14%. And so what the American people need to understand is that there are still public safety threats out there that that DHS needs to be able to pick up that don't fit nicely in this little category that the left wants to look at, but is still really important.
Was there a reclassification during the Biden years or something? I mean, that's ridiculous that would not be classified as violent.
That is stunning. Well, Chad, thank you so much. The former acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, really great to have you here, Chad, on such an important day. We love having you.
Thank you very much.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.